Welcome to Faith, and also the noted feminist scholar and writer, her daughter, Michele Wallace, who's going to be joining us too. So Faith, some of your pieces now sell for millions of dollars. The New York Times did this fabulous piece on you 2 days ago. But you toil for decades, largely unrecognized. How did you keep hanging in, and how did you keep that spirit to make great art all of those years?
Well, it's amazing. I didn't really think about it that much because it started out rather early, showing me that there are going to be oppositions. But that had nothing to do with what I was going to do. And so I just kept at it without making it seem that difficult.
Yeah. But, to keep the
because nothing was easy, pardon me.
No, I know, and you had so little encouragement.
Oh yeah, at home.
Yeah,
my whole family. Everybody was into it, and they gave me everything I needed to persevere, and I did. And but it is a little bit of a surprise that it has happened. I have had actually so many people who have supported me. To begin with, my family. My father brought me my first easel, and my mother always brought me art supplies. I had asthma as a child, and I think one of the things that really helped me a lot was that I had to stay home a lot. I had wonderful teachers, but there was a lot of problems going to public school in the 1930s. But because I think one of the first things they teach you is how to follow the leader. Mm-hmm. And my family wasn't really into following the leader. No, we didn't. That wasn't one of the things we would prone to do.
Well, I want to ask you about one of your earliest pieces, which is called Between Friends. What was the inspiration behind this amazing picture, Between Friends? Yeah, this one.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, but Between Friends, I had friends of all denominations, and there was always something in between us, a barrier of some kind, which might be the thing that pulled us together. It might have been the thing that kept us from being together. So it was a struggle, and I could know that when young people decide they're going to be friends, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a struggle. There's going to be an intention if they're of different races. And I ran into that, but I didn't have the problem of being told who I should be friendly with. And I think a lot of kids face that situation. You go into a classroom and it's who's going to sit next to who, and who's this and who's that and who's the other. And then a lot of kids want to be with the favorite one in the class. Well, I had asthma as a child and had to stay home a lot. The doctors didn't want me in school with the other children with the asthma. Asthma was a problem. A lot of kids died from it. I don't know where it's at today because I basically don't have it anymore, except little snips. But my mother taught me at home, and she'd go, when I had an asthma attack, she would go to school and get my homework and bring it home. So I was kind of home taught.
Yeah.
And it worked nicely in those days, in the 30s. So I didn't have to follow the other kids. I think that is very problematic because I wasn't there with them that much.
Yeah. So you had developed your own.
I
own
could
path.
develop my own way of doing things, and wonderful, wonderful friends. And I wish I could see some of them today, but I think they're probably not around.
Michele, when did you become aware that your mum was an extraordinary artist? I mean, how early did you get that sense that this work was remarkable work?
Well, since I was with her when she was in art school, she left my father while she was an undergraduate in college, and we went back to live with my mother's mother, my grandmother. And so my first consciousness in the world really was, when I was 2, was being in a kind of matriarchal setting in which my grandmother was the queen bee and very glamorous. She was a fashion designer. And then my mother was a very young woman, 21 when she had me, and going to college. And she majored in art, so she was always drawing, she was always painting. And I don't know if you could see that from the perspective of someone who's 2, 3, 4, 5, who's watching this from the beginning. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I looked up to her. I tried to read all her books. I scribbled in all of them. I drew on her homework. So, I realized that the thing about being a scholar, I think it was implanted by the fact that I was raised by someone who was a student and who was studying. And so I thought that early work was fantastic, and every stage along the way, I progressed as she progressed in my assessment of the work. From the beginning, I thought it was, when she finally hit the American People series in 1963, through the Black Light series, every time I would think, okay, this is going to be it. They're going to be at our door, and it's going to be crazy. But
Did you ever see her? Did you ever see her discouraged?
Did I ever see her discouraged? Well, I think she was very upset when my grandmother died. But a tremendous amount of work came out of that because her collaborator with quilting, just at the point when they started making quilts.
Yeah,
my grandmother worked on the Tonkas. She died. And in a way, there was a great opportunity in that for her, because she did some things with it that maybe if my grandmother had been there, she wouldn't have done, like the story quilts.
We're going to see those in just a minute. And Faith, I wanted to ask you about the stunning painting that you did called Die that we glimpsed in the video. Mama purchased it in 2016, nearly half a century after you painted it, and it's got a prominent place right next to Picasso now. So tell us about the Die painting and what
it's
went
right
into
behind
that.
you if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine it.
What went into this iconic picture?
Well, there's quite a long story about it. They were the president of what's the name of the college? I can't remember. Anyway,
Why do we have a president of college?
because he's the one who inspired me to do
Oh, but Hale Woodruff.
Hale Woodruff.
But he wasn't the president of college.
Excuse me?
He just said, your paintings need more motion and activity.
Rhythm, yes.
It's too stagnant. So
To me, that's inspiration. Because he was trying to find a way to leave me out of the exhibition that he was having in Africa. He had put together a show of artists who would travel to Africa and, everything paid for, and we would just be all over West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and I wanted to go. And he found a way to keep me out. because, you know, women weren't supposed to be artists anyway. They didn't know how to do anything like that. But,
So this painting came after that disappointment?
yes, I mean, how dare him tell me I don't know anything about motion or rhythm? You know, I had.
So you weren't included because you didn't have rhythm. Is that?
I didn't have rhythm.
Exactly.
Wow.
He was looking for an excuse to keep me out.
Yeah.
And it was because my paintings were political. It wasn't that about the rhythm part, but he had to find something. So he found that, and I said, okay, I tell you what, I'll show you rhythm. And I made die.
Wow.
And it wasn't, at that point, I didn't care whether I went there or not. I didn't know, I didn't care. I wasn't really trying to please him. I was trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
I can do it, and I will do it. It's crazy to think, because my paintings that you saw didn't have a lot of rhythm that I couldn't do it. I can do.
So
I can do anything I want to do.
What I love, though, is that each time you're knocked back, something better comes out of it.
Yeah.
You know, that you took that disappointment and you made something.
I make some more out of it.
Something out of it.
Yeah. I just thought he had a lot of nerve telling me what I can't do. I could do anything I want to do.
Well, then, of course, you painted.
Anyone can fly.
Anyone can fly.
All you got to do is try.
Anyone can fly. All you got to do is try. I love that. Now, you painted this piece and some of your other most powerful work when you finally got a space in which to work, right? Because you were working in your crowded little apartment. How did having that space change you as an artist?
Well, I could finish that painting, died.
Yeah, right.
That's one thing.
Sure.
Because the bigger the painting, the further away from it you have to get to see it in its entirety. So I couldn't see it, I couldn't get back away from it far enough in my little apartment. So we had to move to another apartment. It was very interesting in those days. My first husband, he was right into it. I mean, we all were, because apartments are small, generally. And ours were. And we needed to keep getting more and more space. And there were artists living all around me in Harlem who needed to, I guess they had several apartments. I guess people bought several apartments so that they would have enough space. And the paintings were not very big in those days, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Paintings were fairly small, and I wanted to, he moved me. Sometimes when you're excluded from something, it helps you. You can take the bad part, the exclusion, and turn it into something stimulating and inspiring.
Sure.
And that's what Dye was for me. Sure. You know, don't
And
tell me what I can't do, please.
And sure, and how it lives now is amazing, the influence that it's had. And then, of course, you got into activism, didn't you? I mean, you took some of this anger about exclusion and you became an activist, and you protested to get more female artists into the Whitney,
Right.
and more black artists included at MOMA.
Yeah, that's who we got in.
Yeah.
Our protest really opened the doors for the black men more than the black women.
Great.
How about
that? It's always the way.
Yeah, right.
Right, but it did help.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
Sure.
I don't mind them coming in on.
Now this is which one is you, Michele? In this
Oh,
one?
there she
Because
is.
Michele's in there too, right?
I'm the
Right.
one in the front.
You're the one in the front, and Michelle's
the one in the
back.
back.
And Michele, I asked Michele, because in those days, protesting, black people were protesting all over, but not in art world. And I asked her, we were getting ready for this demonstration, and I said, how many black women do you think we should insist what percentage, Michele? Everybody uses percentages today when they demonstrate. And I always thought it was kind of crazy to demand something and then say, I want so-and-so percent. So she yelled, 50% women. And I said, uh-oh. I said, this girl is too young. She don't get it. She does not get it. First, they have none. Now they're going to have 50%.
Wow. Go for it.
I said, that's crazy.
So,
Maybe this is too much for her. She's too young. How old were you? 18?
18, 19.
She was 18, and I said, "Oh, this is not
Makes
right.
sense to me.
I don't want to.
sure does.
I don't want to upset her life." But if she says 50%, I'm gonna have to go along with that because I can't let her. You know what I mean?
You wanted to support
Yeah, I don't want her to be sitting up there and say, "I said 50%." My mother said no.
So how did you keep it all together? I mean, there you were, this young woman painting away, getting knocked back so often. You were teaching. I mean, how did you keep it all together? The family and in your small apartment with all this.
That's interesting when you look back on your life and you wonder that, because everybody has situations that when they look back on, or when others look back on their situations, it's unbelievable that they came through it.
Yeah.
You just do it. You move ahead and get it done. And the love of your family and you and what it is you want to do in life gives you the power to continue to do it. You need encouragement, you need inspiration, and you can get it from people you love and from where you want to be in the world, what you want to do in your life. And just keep striving. And other people can be wonderful to help you. And I had so many wonderful people who helped me in my life. My dealer is here, Dorian Bergen. Raise your hand.
Yeah, so you had dealers and mentors who really kept urging you to continue.
I had a whole lot who stood in my way. Yeah.
But others who didn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody's not the same.
Sure.
So, and if you continue to search and work, you will inspire others to inspire you. Yeah.
Well, one of the big departures that you then took in 1980 was that you began with your quilts, right? And one of your early quilts that you did was called Who's Afraid of Aunt Jemima? Tell us about that quilt and what inspired it. Can we see Aunt Jemima? There we are. Here we are.
Yes, she was a woman who was what could you call her? She
made pancakes.
She made pancakes, right? And so I rewrote her story. Aunt Jemima was on the cover of the pancake box, and she was. I don't know what her real story was. Michele, do you remember her real story?
Yeah, I remember a lot about her story, but you were more interested in making her a role model, a feminist role model, a businesswoman, a successful businesswoman.
Mm-hmm. I rewrote her story because I didn't inspire me the way it had been given.
And then
that she just made pancakes.
Yeah, you saw her as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, how about that? I did.
Yeah.
I did. There she was out there working during a time when most Black people had a struggle just living.
And Mom, it was the first story quilt. Yeah. You wrote the story. It was the first time you wrote a story, and you put it on a quilt, and you cited it as a major beginning for your writing career.
Right.
Well, your writing career then really developed with Tar Beach, right? I mean,
what was that?
Tar Beach then.
Yes.
Which was the quilt that also was the story.
Yes, Tar Beach was not my first quilt though.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget that thing. But yeah, my mother taught me how to do that because painting on canvas in oil was getting more and more difficult to do and was therefore keeping me from doing as much work as I needed to be doing. Because I didn't need to do a painting a year or anything like that. I needed to produce, and I had an opportunity to do so, and I was going to do it. So I needed to paint and have my paintings so that I could pick them up. It's already 1988. It's 1988 is Tar Beach.
But this is the print version.
Well, right.
Tar Beach too.
I've done a lot of work, I do. And I'm very proud of myself for doing so because it's important to see where you can go, which direction, how much you can embrace in a lifetime by just keeping to work. And what I'm doing in my work is I'm telling my story. Nobody knows my story like I do. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, if you look at it, my story is the only one I can tell. Like your story is the only one you can tell. You know it.
Tar Beach was the roofs of Harlem where people would sit out, right, and have their family gatherings.
That's right.
Yeah.
We would go up on the roof because nobody had air conditioning. So, and it would be hot, and you had to get out of the house, and we would go up on the roof, but you couldn't run around. So you see, my father would bring a mattress up and a sheet, and we'd have to lay down and look up at the sky, and we did that. And we would leave our door open downstairs in case somebody had to go down for something. And can you imagine? Nobody went in our house.
Because it was safe.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody came and knocked on our door or wanted to see us or came to our door, our neighbors would open their door and say, oh, they're up on the roof or whatever. It was just amazing how thoughtful people were of
and
others.
how it was a real community.
Yes, it was a wonderful togetherness that we all had there, and we really it was wonderful.
And now you have a foundation, right, which is where you're helping, I gather, other artists.
Yes, it's basically for the children. I want the children to see.
Anyone Can Fly Foundation.
Anyone Can Fly Foundation. All you got to do is try. You know, just stay to it. And I taught in public school for a number of years, and because they would not allow me to get an art
liberal arts degree.
They would not allow me to get a liberal arts degree because women could not
get liberal arts degrees at City College.
Women
when you
could
went
not,
there in 48.
When in 1948, when I graduated from high school and went to the City College to study art, they said I could not get a liberal arts degree because City College was a men's school, okay? And that degree was only for the men.
Okay, well, you certainly had sweet revenge, I would say, for that decision.
I got past that.
You got past that. Oprah commissioned you to make a quilt, I know, as a gift to the late Maya Angelou. Last summer, you had a major solo show at the Serpentine Galleries in London, which is a huge accolade. Your work is in every important American museum. Faith Ringgold has got, at last, the recognition she deserves. And I'm so very proud that she was with us today, where we can celebrate her too. Thank you, Faith. And thank you, Michele.